and welcome to 06880, the podcast. Jimmy Izzo is a native Westporter. So is his father. There's a lane named for the Izzos off of Richmondville Avenue, and that's around the corner from where Jimmy and his dad ran Crossroads Hardware for years. It was the closest thing Westport had to a community center. You went for a hammer or ladder, left an hour later after some raucous conversation with neighbors and strangers. Jimmy now works with Neat Loans. He's also an RTM member. He posts photos of his morning walks at Campo Beach nearly every day, and he's one of Westport's biggest boosters ever. So, Jimmy, let's start with a little history. How long have the Izzos been in Westport?
Dan, the Izzos came here in 1910. My grandfather got off the boat. I believe it was 1910. Yes,
Came from Italy.
came from Italy. Yes, and by way of Ellis Island through Ohio. Yes, they followed the railroad. That's where the jobs were, and backtracked his way over here, and ended up working for Lee's Manufacturing, which is now the mill.
Yeah, tell people about Lee's.
Well, Lee's was I believe it was a manufacturer of yarn. I think it was one of the bigger yarn, or I think it was a yarn manufacturer. I could be wrong, but I'll have to fact check that. But in any event, he worked there. He worked, did contracting himself. He raised 13 kids, 2 wives. Interesting story. His first wife, he had 8 kids with, and she passed away young. And then he got on the boat to Italy, went back and found my grandmother, who actually my father believes he was conceived on the way back to the United States. Now, she had no idea he had 8 kids. He went over there in a suit and, did his best to try and find a wife, because in those days they would have taken your children away from you. The state would have, a guy working, an immigrant with 8 kids, there would have been no way you could raise these kids. So to make that's how it ended up with 13 kids. So, he worked his way, working, buying property and just, selling it and, anything to do to put food on the table. As I never met him, but this is what I heard from my parents and my aunts and uncles.
Wow. The classic immigrant story.
Yeah, I think it's a story of not just Italians, but I think it's of the Irish, the Jews, and anybody who came over to this country, at the turn of the century. I mean, it was really, the land of opportunity. And I still believe it is. I mean, it's, there are certain things we're going through I think growing pains right now, but I do think this is the greatest country in the free world.
So what kept them here?
What kept him in Westport?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Both of my parents are graduates of Staples High School. Now, on the other side, my mother is a Gilberti because my grandmother is a Gilberti. So I'm related to all the Gilbertis. They're all cousins. I mean, you name one, some or another, we're 2 or 3 removed. They met in high school. They actually did not date in high school. They dated after high school. And I think, my father was just, a builder by trade and just saw the opportunity here. So he was a builder developer for 40 plus years. And then he joined me in the hardware venture.
Wow. Wow.
So that was his second act.
A great venture.
Yeah.
So your dad graduated from Staples in 1957.
Yeah.
And you graduated in 83, right?
Yes.
And you see all these kids now in 2021. You're very tuned into the town. So what's changed over the years from your father to you to today about growing up in Westport?
Well, I think growing up in Westport that we had, and you and I had, I think you and I that talk about how, what a time to be at Staples would have been in the 70s when you guys had, sort of like adulthood given to you. And you know what I mean? It's basically like, we're giving it to you. Let's see what you do with it.
Yeah. We had open campus. We could make our own classes.
And we had a similar type thing in the 80s. I mean, teachers and kids all went to the courtyard actually and smoked cigarettes together, which is weird. I mean, but it was that time. I think we were fortunate enough to have great teachers from both the liberal side of the spectrum, the World War II side of the spectrum, and the Korean War side of the spectrum. So they meshed in a way where we were given a real good education, balanced, able to think about, we studied Vietnam, studied World War II, the Middle East. I think it was a very balanced focus on learning and letting us think. I think today's kid is more, having a 14-year-old stepdaughter, it's more of, and again, I don't want to overstep the bounds of educators because I have such a high respect for education. I think we've lost that communication teaching, the everyday skill sets that we learn by being with each other, by learning how to play together, do a pickup soccer game, a pickup football game. I think today it's more of, okay, you need to go this, you have to do this, this, this. You're building a college resume from the minute you're 8 years old with travel sports. We didn't do that. We didn't travel till we were like, I think it was junior high school. We might have went to Darien, New Canaan, or Norwalk. I think the farthest we went was Greenwich. And that was it. Today, these kids are on the road with their parents, 7 days a week. It's 7, it seems.
Yeah.
I just think technology has sped up the growth period too much. And that's a world problem, not just Westport.
Yeah. We talked, I've talked with you before about the hardware store you had. And you said that, the people who used to come in on Saturdays, they didn't come in anymore because they were taking their kids all over the East Coast.
Yeah, I didn't realize, until I got out of it, until I was in that world of traveling with kids for sports and seeing dance competitions and seeing, whether it's music, whether it's acting, it doesn't matter whether it's sports, but our kids today are busy on weekends and our parents are even more busy. You know what I mean? Like they really don't have time to do much of anything. It's a constant grind of running, shuffling, and moving different kids. I mean, I look at it like, for my business, it was a small retail home shop that basically, you look at it, the Amazon effect, the way technology made things easier for the parent. I mean, it's like there's no way they're going to come and buy, how do I say it, like a $95 blower from me when they can get it for 65 because they can have it delivered right there. I don't need to go down the street. I've got it. It'll be at my house when I get home. So that's all changed.
But what about the fact that, you can walk into a store and say, Jimmy, I need this and or how do I do this, that personal touch?
Well, that's still there. I mean, my friend Richie who owns Westport Hardware will still do it for you, and he's great, and they're a great family. I think the hardest thing for us was that, I couldn't make it work because of the size of the store, not to make excuses, but you always had that. But, people don't think in terms of like you walk into a restaurant, you don't realize what it costs to open those doors, what it costs to pay the insurance, the rent, the air conditioning, the food costs keep going up. People think you pay the bill and it goes into the owner's pocket. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, when you look at somebody's bottom, they look at their, their expense sheet, it's incredibly high. And to do business today, I applaud everybody in Westport who have done well and started to open up these cool new shops that we have. I mean, we could talk about this all day as well. And today's retailer has to be very unique, very savvy, and you have to be constantly on the pulse of what the customer wants. You have to have an experience for them. I mean, we had a great experience. Don't get me wrong. We
Yeah.
had 25 amazing years. Just the last couple of years that it just, went a different way. But, no regrets. I mean,
So who are some of the retailers that you think really are doing well in Westport?
oh, I think definitely my friend Annette at Savvy and Grace. I think she's on it. She's part of the community. I think Griff down at Franny's Pharmacy is getting involved. I mean, he's a go getter with that. I think you look at Manitoast, you look at how they're doing. I mean, they're on the pulse of what people want. My friend, Kit Shapiro over at West of Westport, Kit's doing great. I mean, there are just fun stores to go into. You walk in, you're like, this is cool. And I think that's what people want. They need a wow to
Yeah.
go into a store.
Yeah.
You like that. You like to feel a good vibe. It's like I shouldn't say that about me with a restaurant. I go for the food because I'm Italian. I don't care what it looks like.
So I asked you what's different about Westport from when you were growing up? What
Okay.
about what's the same?
What is the same? The same is our downtown is the safest place for your children to ever be. I do believe it is a safe place. I think the one thing that is the same is the volunteering that we do through many organizations, whether it's Homes with Hope, whether it's Wakeman Town Farm, the both Rotary clubs. I could go on and on. I think we all come together. We leave all the politics and all that national stuff aside, and we work as one. And I think that's always been where Westport has been strong, and our roots have been the same for decades. Is that we do work with each other, and we do work for common goals of those in need of our help, and we do spread the wealth. And I will say that when people say bad things about Westport, it makes me cringe because this is a very inclusive community. It is one that I do believe in. You can correct me if I'm wrong because you've been here longer than I have. We do get together. We do the right thing. When we get together about, injustices, we do bring people together. We bring rabbis, priests. We bring people together for common goals. And
Any special moments stand out in terms of that?
well, I think what was great was the Asian American when the Asian American Pacific Islanders what down here was awesome. I mean, they put that together in a week. And Sren Cheng, one of my good friends, I mean, she did a great job and everybody came together. I mean, we had Tony Wang, we had Senator Blumenthal, we had the attorney general and everybody down. I mean, it was a wonderful get together, and it just showed support for our Asian, American, community members
Yeah.
and others. I mean, it was really that one was really wonderfully done, and I just the way they put it together in a week was just phenomenal. And we had this whole thing all packed, and it was just good to see.
Yeah.
That one really stood out.
What's the reason for that? Why do you think this community can do things like that when you look around and you see maybe you wouldn't think that people would be so involved or would have the time to do something like that?
Well, I think we are a society of compassionate people. I do think there's a lot of compassion here and I think it's our culture because we're the most diverse town. I mean, we support the arts. We have more artists than anywhere else in Fairfield County. We have a lot of celebrities who just blend into traffic. They're just nice people. They go in, they say hi. I mean, it goes back to Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. I mean, they got involved in the community. I mean, Jimmy Naughton. These are people who embrace the community. They'll talk to you. They care. You know what I mean? Like they're not Hollywood high on themselves. And that's said about a lot of the other ones that live around town that I've met. And I think look at what we have. We have I don't know how many different religious organizations in town. We have different. We just have a nice diverse community. You know, of Asian folks, Indian folks, Irish, Catholics, Italians, Jews. I mean, we're like a melting pot, and we
Uh-huh.
always were that. Even growing up here, I mean, we all got along. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like I can't talk to you because you're this and you're that. That's why it really upsets me when I hear about some of the racial stuff that's been going on and some of the hate crimes that happen. I mean, I just think that, a lot of that we can blame on Washington and the former president. And I think, we have to be beyond that and above that. And I think we have to have a zero tolerance on all, it should be zero tolerance throughout, our town and school.
Yeah.
I totally believe that.
So what made you decide to run for the RTM?
Okay, this is good. Okay, so okay, and what happened was I did not believe the YMCA belonged up on Mackinac site. Now this is Jimmy 12 years ago. Okay, this is not Jimmy today. Okay, so I figured, okay, it's going to ruin downtown. It's going to cause traffic. It's going to be bad. And you're going in a protected river. You're putting a 3,200 or 32,000 square foot building in a residential zone, which is a no-no. Okay, you're taking a commercial building, putting it in a residential zone on a river with no sewer. So that was my main thing. It went through. I was shocked. I lost a cup of coffee to Larry I spent on that. I bet Larry'd never get it through. And Larry goes, I'll bet you a cup of coffee. So I lost that cup of coffee. But let's move forward. So that was my passion to run for the RTM. But what I realized once you get there, there's more to it than just what bothers you or what you think is wrong. It's about working for the community, and I try to explain to people when they always start barking, I said, run for the RTM or come down and understand what it takes. Because in a town like this, democracy in general is a slow moving needle. It's never supposed to have a winner. It's supposed to have both sides walking away a little dissatisfied, right? Now, the YMCA up there might have thought it was bad, but guess what? It turned out to be a wonderful complex. It's great. I'm 100% behind it and will help them any way I can. You see, because you have to look at it not from your own view, but from the view of, this is something that's good for the community. And I think so many people, we say, well, I want this. No, it doesn't work that way. I might prefer that, what I might prefer versus what's going to work. You try and balance it out. So that's what I've learned about, being on the RTM. And government is interesting in this town because, when people are starting to, they start trying to unpeel an onion to say, well, you're doing this, you're doing that. We have more checks and balances in Westport than anywhere. And it is funny. There's no hidden money. There's no thing, I don't want to, yes, the Board of Ed is different than the town of Westport, but that is because of state mandates and stuff like that, you have to understand it's run differently.
Yeah. Very interesting. I feel the same way as you do about the why.
Yeah.
I was opposed to it. I worried about traffic.
No traffic, by the way. And this is what I said to Ian Bruce, a good friend of mine. And Ian, Ian's, a executive on the Y board. And I said, Ian, I owe you an apology. There is no traffic issue with the Y, zero.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say when people get nervous about it, our big traffic is through traffic because of Route 1, Mare Parkway, 95, and all the different exits.
Yeah. And it's a great facility now.
Wonderful. I mean, we have to support it. I think it's there. It's good, and it's an asset to our town.
Yeah. It did hurt downtown.
Yes, and they'll admit it.
Yeah.
No one will not admit it.
Right. Right. So, what are the biggest issues as an RTM member that you deal with?
Well, I think the biggest issue right now that we are dealing with is the 8-30G housing that the state has basically refused to modify. And, let me be clear. We are all for affordable housing. I'm 100% behind it. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. The starter homes in Westport, the $500,000 starter homes are now being bid out for $2 million spec houses, which is, we'll see how this all plays out down the road. So the need for affordable housing is definitely here. But to go and have a developer come in and take the 830G law and hold us hostage and do what they did to the folks at Hiawatha is criminal. And it's criminal for the legislature in Connecticut to not have modified this over the last 3 or 4 years. And, you have to say, okay, look, traffic is an issue with this, safety is an issue. What they are saying is we don't care about traffic issues. We don't care about safety. We don't care. You didn't adhere to your end of the bargain. So now it's on you. And I say to them, look, help us because we have this thing called the Saugatuck River in our town. So it's kind of hard to get to different places. So we really have to be very, very, I don't know, like we have to find ways that we can put housing in the right places so traffic can flow and not just in one area. You see, we're going to have, I think, 80 units right over here across from the Hunt and Down building. There'll be, I think, 80 units going in up there.
That's on Cross Street.
Yes,
and
there'll be,
Riverside.
I believe, 80 or something like that. Then you're going to have another, I think, 156 on Hiawatha. Then there'll be another 25 at the corner across from Fort Apache. So, and then you still have the across from Nash's Corner, another possible development. And I think, our friends in Hartford have to understand that, we send a lot of money your way, not to sound snobby, but we do send a lot of money, and keeping us vibrant and keeping taxpayers who pay a lot of taxes here is important. So you need to work with your fundraiser, your funding. It's like when we go out fundraising, the people that fund like the library, that fund the Levitt, we try to keep them happy. Not, what I'm saying? Like you try to do things the right way. I think our state tends to take the money rather than say, hey, you know what? Yes, we want this. Let's work with you to make it happen
Wow.
because we're all on board for it. No one's going to say we don't want it in our hometown. That's farthest from the truth. We want to be able to have mixed uses. You know what I mean? Because, we'd love to have firemen and police live here because we grew up with that, Dan. That was fun to know that, in our age, at our group, remember, once in a while you got to ride home from a police officer. Today they can't do that because it's against the law. That they drop us off.
Right.
And, be like, if I tell you, I'm not going to tell your parents, but go home.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true. So I will give you a couple of hot topics in Westport,
Okay.
and I want your take on them.
Sure.
Barron South. What should we do with it?
Okay. I was one of the ones who voted to deem it open space. Okay. I'm still there on open space. I mean, I've talked to Danielle Dobin, and we're friends, and she's chair of P&Z and has done a great job. But I'm also open to being able to expand the senior center a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I think there, if we can get the senior center what they need in terms of some pickleball courts, bocce courts, because 38% of our population, believe it or not, are seniors in Westport, highest per capita in the state. I don't know if you knew that. There you go. And I would love to see walking trails put in there. I really, people are saying, well, we can't park. Well, you know what? Let's stop being lazy. Go park at the lot over, where we have the farmer's market and everything. And that lot's always open for parking most of the day. Park there, walk across the street, up the sidewalk that's beautiful, and go into the Barron South. It's a beautiful, it's gorgeous in there, but it does need some TLC. And that's something that we're going forward. I don't know. It's going to be debated. It's going to be everywhere. But right now I'm leaning on open space with improvements.
Okay.
Does that sound like a politician?
No, it sounds like a rational solution.
Thank you.
We talked about 830G.
Yeah.
Affordable housing. What you talked about the obstacles with Hartford.
Yeah.
What can Westport do? Where can we put it? What's the story?
What we need to do is honestly, I love the developments. Like 1177 did a great job. We gave, they came in, they said, we're not going to do 830G, but we need a little more to give you, for make our project work financially.
That's the one directly opposite Greens Farms.
Right. And they did a
Element.
great job of that. They gave them the extra floor, but once the trees blend in, and there'll be trees that'll grow, that will be, that's what you need. You need a developer to work with us. Okay. And I think like Sam Galt's a classic example. Sam's always working with the town. Like they're going to do X, Y, and Z development. There's a affordable part of his project, right? But that will be off-site. Now, some people disagree with off-site affordable. I don't, as long as it's mixed within other neighborhoods. And the reason I say that is, you see, this is what's happened to the cities. They would take all affordable and stuff and basically throw them all. And we found out that in the 60s that didn't work. You need, I believe, mixed use allows for growth with everybody. I think it's mentally healthy for growth and education stimulus and keeping us moving forward as a society. So, what I'd like to see is even at some point in time, I don't know, probably when I'm gone, I don't think this real estate can maintain its trajectory. I'd love to see it because of the business we're in. But I do think at some point in time, some of these big houses will be your retirement places of the future. They'll be turned into 3 and 4 bedroom with elevators and stuff like that. I think that's a healthy way of mixing young and old together. I know it sounds really odd, but I think there is a place for that. I think we have to look at, some of our other assets would be like town-owned property. Do we have property that we can actually use for that? I don't know. But I think I like that law has to be changed so it cannot be manipulated. So we can actually use the word plan, and planning is part of zoning. I think it's a bigger issue to plan than it is to zone and say, no, no, no. We have to realize that we have to say yes, but the yes has to be within our framework. That's what I believe. I know there are some people at the state that want the state to take over all zoning. Well, that would be a disaster
Yeah.
for everyone in the state, the cities, the suburbs, and everyone, because they're not good at it. I mean, these are very important issues that not only affect Westport, but all the communities and cities and towns in Connecticut.
Downtown, how are
Downtown,
we doing?
downtown, we're doing great. We've had, I think, 30 plus new businesses open up in town, whether it's a downtown area or outside of it. I think it's awesome. I think it's vibrant. I walk it a lot in the mornings early, and it's great to see the stores being filled. I think once the old Klein's is filled up, or the old Banana Republic, I don't know which one it is. I get confused now.
I call it Klein's.
They call it Klein's, right? Yeah, that's right. It was Klein's, right? Mr. Klein's rolling over, looking at this, saying what they do. And I think it's great. I think we just need a couple more restaurants. I think I want to give a shout out to Rita and Chris Marachi for opening up the local, what is it, Westport to local?
Local to market.
Local to market. I think that's what we're going to need. I think, since Mrs. Kramer closed down, that's been haunted over there. And I think that's a good anchor for that side of town. And Gigi and Joe's is doing great. And then you have the new gelato shop up top. So I think that will all help Rye Ridge in that area. Now, if we could just get a couple of restaurants centrally located, like we used to have with Onion Alley and Ships,
Yeah.
I think we're there. I think we're there. I mean, I love what I'm seeing.
Great.
Love the outdoor dining. I think that has added a boost to people coming into town, rather than just, you know what I mean, us leaving town.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see.
Saugatuck, the Krabari Bridge.
Do you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that bridge is going to be there long after we're all. I just don't see. This is me. I don't see it sinking or falling in, but I know it needs something. But I just don't want that throughway traffic coming in, and we've seen what's happened with Waze. I think at some point in time, the state has to work with us to maintain it as is, and make it safe. But I don't think they should be dictating money to us. I think they should be giving us money, but allowing us to control the destiny of it. I think we know what Westport needs as far as that goes. And I think that's going to be controversial, but I think Mr. Marpy's handled it well. I think the thing is we have to look at the solution that works best for us. And, ways, technology is sending people all through Saugatuck now. It's kind of crazy. I mean, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
you could be sitting by Saugatuck.
Can we do anything about traffic? Is there a solution?
No. Here is the thing. The state has dropped the ball. We gave money to the state for a study. There was Steve Edwards came to us to do a study on traffic. These lights were supposed to be synchronized 3 years ago, and it still hasn't come to fruition. I don't know who dropped the ball on that, but the lights from where Gold's Deli up there, or I think right there, right through where over the Saugatuck Bridge, that crazy intersection. So traffic, to your answer, that will help it. But traffic is through traffic, and we're not going to stop cars from coming through Westport. We're not going to stop 57, 136, Route 1, and having two bridges that are our access way across. It's not like we have shortcut roads to get to different places. So my answer to traffic is, look, you cannot physically stop it. You can help move it a little bit. I don't think police will help move it. I think what happens is when you do put a cop at an intersection to direct traffic, it's going to send it the other way too. You know what I mean? People are going to just keep. It's cars. It's cars on the road.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. It's like, you can't magically get to Stanford. You know what time. You know how long it's going to take you to get to Stanford. And now you look at all the building going around, right? I mean, these offices that are being built, these housing units that are being built, well, people have cars. and cars are going to go on the road. And, I've taken, my whole philosophy is I just figure if I have to wait, I have to wait, you know? I think one thing that we can do though, which will alleviate it, is people need to be aware of the square. The yellow light means stop. If you stop at the yellow and not try and jump to sit in the middle of the square, all traffic will move better. Because what happens is you're in the middle, the other light go, everybody gets backed up. So people have to learn to stop at the yellow. And believe it or not, it will make a difference.
It's a good point.
You know?
The yellow that was developed by the Eno Foundation.
Yes, amazing.
Westport is a discussion for another time, but Westport was at the forefront of traffic safety of all things.
And I think we're good like that. I think we are a safety conscious community.
So what's under the radar? Are there any issues that we should be talking about that we're not yet?
Yes. Here's something that we have to look at. Since COVID, the family bike ride is back. And, you see more families on bicycles. And I think one of the biggest issues of safety issues we have is the Sunday cyclists that come in from out of town and these cycling clubs. They don't adhere to their roads. They're going about 30 miles an hour through stop signs and have little regard for traffic or stop signs and things of that nature. And I think we are looking for a major accident that is going to happen. And, cars are, I think, 70,000 and against bicycles, and they're not going to lose anytime soon. But the young kid and his family that get run over by one of these, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
So I think cyclists have to put their egos down and their miles down and say, you know what? I don't mind if they go out at 4 a.m. It's fine. I mean, I see them at 4. God bless you. Just do what you got to do. But midday on a Saturday or Sunday through Campo the wrong way, I mean, we have to use a little bit of common sense with that.
Interesting. Couple more.
Sure.
Just a couple more. Your Italian restaurant heritage. If you can't eat a home-cooked Italian meal, what's your go-to place?
Okay. Now I have 3.
Okay.
Because I have to be fair to all 3 that I'm good patrons at. Tarantino's, Via Sforza, and Pane Bene. Okay?
All different parts of town, too.
All different parts of town. Now, if you're doing your takeout, okay, the super great takeout, if you want just a lot of food and you're having a party, you cannot beat Angelina's. I mean, they give you a ton of food. You can order one entree per person because you're getting pasta included with that. You're getting a salad. So it's really a fun takeout. And Italian catering, I will say Khalees's is excellent. Carmine is phenomenal.
Yeah. Great.
Hope I didn't leave anyone out.
Great. There's a lot of places. And what do you miss? Restaurants you miss?
What do I miss? Well, we all miss Big Top, as you and I know. I miss Mario's. I miss Yarrow. I miss Ships. I think I'm going back to what you said, what I miss about Westport.
Yeah.
I miss the movie theaters. I miss Westport now. I miss Gordon walking around, whether, forget the politics, but that's part of Westport that I miss because Gordon was always taking pictures. You could agree to disagree on politics, but certain people of Westport are fixtures and there are certain things.
Wow. So the final question, one word, 3 different eras. Describe the Westport in one word of yesterday.
Magical.
Today.
Working through it.
Okay. And the Westport of tomorrow.
Vibrant.
Great. Anything I should have asked that I didn't?
You know what? We should have talked about the lack of fields for our kids. We need more fields because, what we had growing up was basically for boys because girls didn't really play sports until 8th grade. Now what's awesome is, girls are playing soccer at 5 like the boys. So it's really, we do need more fields, and we have lacrosse now. We have more sports that I think, which is a good problem to have.
Where can we put them?
I walk around. It's funny. I scout around all the time. I don't know if we're utilizing the old Saugatuck Elementary field, or are we utilizing?
That's the
Yeah,
elder
yeah. I
apartment
don't know if
on Bridge
I don't
Street.
know if we're utilizing that field anymore. If we gave it up, are we utilizing Burr Farms enough? Should we try and buy the Kowalski? Well, it's a residential area. I don't think our friends in the Greens Farms Association, would like fields going on up there. Sorry, folks, if you're listening. But we have to be more creative. I think that there's a high demand for our fields, and it's important for kids, Dan, to play, whether it's sports or be active. I think it's just good. Put the computers down, and even if they're just running around,
Yeah,
it's all good.
I'm with you. Jimmy Izzo, I knew it was going to be a fascinating trip through Westport yesterday
Coach, I
and today.
appreciate it.
Glad to have you. Need Capital, RTM member, and as I said in the beginning, Westport booster extraordinaire.
We
Thank you,
love our
Jim.
town. Thank you, Dan. Thank you as always.
You bet.